a shift in the higher time frame energies in the last 12 hours or so, the weekly time frame. It's nothing drastic, but there's enough of a shift so that I want to share it with you before we get into the daily zeitgeist focus. In the next week or so, there will be many unconscious creative processes that are activated. Things will begin to happen beneath the surface. New energies will be collecting and building. It's important to continue to maintain a grounded attitude during this time. There will be times to fly high in the future. Things are going to get more intense and exciting. But now you may want to stay grounded and connected to whatever holds you steady in this life. In the coming week, the actions you take may not bring a final end to things. Rather, they will open up new possibilities. Possibilities that perhaps you were never able to even imagine before. That's how this works. New energies come in and present themselves to you, and they offer you new things to focus on that can be aligned with those energies and take humanity forward. So these new possibilities are what to focus on. Remaining grounded and fighting the need to dominate every situation to the point of exhaustion, every external situation to the point of exhaustion, can bring a greater and more forceful power of inner realization. So let things play out. There's a lot happening right now. Let things play out. There's a lot of changes coming. You don't need to stay attached to every single idea that you currently have. You don't need to stay attached to every single thing that happens outside of you. If you're willing to stay flexible, if you're willing to flow with these new energies and the way that they twist and turn towards the opening up of new things, all of this will eventually work itself out into a very clear direction, and that could help give you a push towards great success. The reason why it's best to stay grounded and focused on moderation during this period is because there's powerful forces in the cosmos that are trying to work themselves out into a greater balance. Things have become too lopsided. There's too much excess in one direction out there. And it appears that in the coming days, there will now be energies arriving that will try to begin to balance some of these excesses out into a larger equilibrium, to balance these extremes and try to reach for more harmony. A tree does not grow forever. It grows to a certain height and stops. Do you think human trends and social trends are the same way? Do you think they grow forever? No, they do not. Things come to an end and are discontinued. Right now, there are many parts of our society that are in great imbalance. New forces are entering the picture to work with some of those extremes and bring them into a new balance. Whether that leads to initial discord and conflict, that's not something that we know right now, or if there's such a shifting of energies that things work themselves out on their own, that is something that we will all have to wait and see. But that is what begins to happen now. Great excesses have been committed and continue to be committed, and now things will begin to work themselves out. I keep saying that same thing, work themselves out. For most of you, these balancing energies you will have no role in them. A lot of this will be out of your hands. If you've been following in with these new energies arriving, you may not be caught up in the old way to an extent where it's taking up all of your energy and all of your focus. The people who will carry out these processes are mainly from the old world. The factions of the old world are ramping up their wars against each other, are ramping up their competition with each other. And that is their role in these new energies. So let that happen. If the problem is that things have gotten too excessive, do you want to be part of that problem and become excessive yourself? Or do you think it's wise to remain in some form of moderation and balance and groundedness? Again, it's important that you let the new energies, this new zeitgeist, do much of the work for you. Let the larger powerful forces lift a lot of the heavy weight. The new forces may not be strong enough for you at this time, and losing your head trying to connect with them and going off full force with them may not bring you the most benefit. Instead, you want to work toward establishing a harmonious equilibrium within yourself and between your fellows. Avoiding or not getting sucked into the wild extremes at this point may be a wise move. You may not have the overpowering strength in your corner. It may not be yours. It may still be there's an excess, an imbalance of where all this has flowed to. The overpowering strength still belongs to the old way for now. But the new way, the strength of the new way is growing. Focusing on this new way and on this growing strength should receive the thrust of most of your focus for now. Growing the new in a wise and cautious manner remaining tolerant of people who may not be as far as advanced to you, helping them come up to the new energies as well. This will give you advancement. Now may also be a good time to pay attention to new areas of interest. The new energies will be wanting to manifest new things and moving in new direction. Keeping your eyes open to these new areas can add great power to your destiny and give you more control over the situation as things develop. Most importantly, in this next week, it's important to remember the balancing tendency of the cosmos and to not go against that principle and to remain in harmony with the larger forces that can work for you. For the daily zeitgeist, today is a day where you may want to prevent yourself from exposing yourself to the undue influence of other people, especially outside extrapersonal forces. Sometimes you have to interact with the crowd and become one with them. Sometimes you have to throw yourself out there into the thick of it. At other times, you need to stay slightly more detached from what's going on with the masses and instead use your emotional energy, to use your daily power to discover what's truly going on inside of you in order to articulate a larger vision that will play a larger role externally in the times to come. We are coming to the end of the last weekly cycle. Many of you have had a powerful week, and so it's important to take a little time and understand what has been accomplished. Some of this may be hard to see. I understand that. Some of you may see all of this as clear as day as I'm saying it. Others of you may be less clear on it, and that's fine. It took me a long time to get to a point where I could articulate these energies. I would encourage you to keep on this journey with me. Not everything can be revealed all at once, but if you stick with this, you'll begin to realize that a lot of what I'm talking about is happening unconsciously. It's happening deep inside of you. The more you get in touch with that and understand that you may be attached to larger forces, the easier it will be to understand how all these energies are shaping your day in a way that perhaps you may not have even been conscious of before. Same thing for our society. A lot of change is happening deep inside our society. They may not necessarily show itself fully until later. These energies, they come in and they make hidden, invisible moves. A lot of you are, if you look for instant confirmation in what's happening outside of you, that's not what we're doing here. What we're talking about are shifting energies and a growing sense of where the tide of the new zeitgeist is headed. Not everyone will see it. We won't see it right at first, but there's a subtle sense of a new energy coming in. The more you can understand that and attune yourself to it, the more success you will have the potential to reach as all these things do show themselves in reality. Sometimes the crisis is long in forming and then it happens a lot faster than anyone could realize. So when that happens, you might look back at this time and understand that there were great creative forces brewing the entire time inside of you and in the external world. And perhaps you were so swept up in them, you barely even understood what was happening. But turning back and reflecting further on it, it all becomes clear as day. There's going to be an era of external action. It's on its way. I find it highly significant that I keep receiving signals of the shifting energies that are signaling over and over and over again to go deeper internally at this time. There's a lot of external changes brewing, and yet the energies, the shifting energies, are giving a very strong signal to go as deep inside of you as you possibly can. It's so consistent, it's almost spooky. Usually there's more twists and turns in these energies. These energies have been signaling hard and consistently. Figure out what your vision and purpose is. Figure out how you can align to these new energies. Figure it out now. Day after day after day, the energies present themselves. They're admonishing those who are in tune with this higher zeitgeist to stay consciously grounded, to not get too far ahead of themselves, to not fly up into the sky with these new energies, not to get too swept up. Don't head into the clouds with these new energies. You want to think about them and stay grounded with them over and over and over again. Now, it's my impression that we're headed into an era of external action. And what is occurring now is many people are being led into a deep inner process to prepare themselves for purposes and visions that will exert a powerful force as we move forward into the future. So take some time today to think about where you're at now. Today may not be the day where everything that's going to happen in the future is crystal clear. But you can get inside yourself, inside your own head, and align yourself with these energies just by sitting there and thinking about them, or asking a question and waiting for an answer. You can think about your purpose, just simply sitting there and focusing on it. Perhaps taking a walk, focusing on what you're developing. You can, just by doing that, you can better align yourself to these new energies. Some of you I know are in deep touch with all of this. Others of you are moving back and forth with it, coming in and out of it, and that's fine. The time now is being given to you to go into yourself, to calm your mind, to think about a larger vision, how you can transcend from where you've been and use that as fodder for where you're going. If you can get into some inner stillness today and turn that whirl of inner impressions into purposes and visions, into objective things that you can focus on, that you can pump your energy into, you can pump the energy of the cosmos into, you can make exceptional advancements today, coming into alignment with these new energies, to try to spend some time inside yourself, to center yourself, even if it's just a few minutes. Times are going to get very complex in the outside world. Worldly matters are heating up. And it's important for you to have a sense, an inner calm that will allow you to stay focused on those energies, the energies of the time, rather than going into a reactive mode that leads you into impulsiveness. When the time does arrive, everything that you spent doing now, today, the last week, the coming week, will prepare you. It will give you a sense of inner vision, a sense of inner calm that will prepare you to act quickly and decisively when other people are reacting with no head, with no mind, being completely impulsive, causing them to make great mistakes. So stay centered in yourself today. That, I'll admit, that's hard for me because I'm always focused on the external. I'm always focused on the future. But today is not a day to think too far into the future, trying to constantly figure out what will be or will not be. Today is not for that. Today is a day to get inside of yourself, try to focus on what new function, where's the communication coming from these new energies to you, trying to communicate to you that you have a new role to play. They may come from inside of you. Your friends might be telling you, might be giving you hints. People on Twitter might be saying, hey, why don't you think about this? Why don't you think about that? It can come from anywhere. This meditation, it doesn't have to be a candlelit session with those smoky things, incense, and wild music. If you like doing that, hey, go for it. I can't do it myself. The only way I can get into a state of inner calm is through rapid movement, usually by walking. So I'll be doing that today. I'll be going for a walk, and I won't let my mind whirl off into the future. I'll be focusing on my own growing functions and what's happened in the last week. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, and I pay very close attention on days where you can go inside yourself. That doesn't mean it's all you. You can get feedback from other people, then take that feedback, all those details, bring it into yourself, and learn more about what's going on here. I listen to these energies. I don't mess with them. I make a lot fewer mistakes now than I used to. So for me, trying to figure out the future day, projecting too far in the future, it'll be more like a fantasy world, which will just leave you on shifting sands instead of solid ground. Today is the day to connect with inner forces, the day to stand on the solid rock. If you can get into balance and harmony with those larger forces, your instincts will be much better when things turn. And this will be a huge positive for you as the new era of external tensions and complexities continues to open up before us.